everyone, thanks for stopping by my channel. If you're new here, my name's Gem, I'm 42, live in northwest England, and I'm here documenting my weight loss journey with Mounjaro. And if you're returning, welcome back. So throughout the month of April, I've been doing a daily upload, and it's now the 22nd of April, Tuesday the 22nd. And for today's video, what I thought I would talk about is PCOS. And my journey with PCOS, how I found out I have it, how it's affected me throughout my adult life, and also how I think the weight loss that I have had in the last 23 weeks has helped with some of my symptoms. So yeah, this may not be a video for everybody, but it may be of interest for some people out there. Before I go any further, I would just like to say that obviously I'm not a healthcare professional. This is just my experience and just the understanding that I have of polycystic ovarian syndrome. So if you are worried about your own health and your own whether you may have PCOS or anything like that, I would always advise that you go and speak to your own GP or your own healthcare provider. I always put a disclaimer at the end of the video, but I just thought it was worthwhile mentioning it as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to briefly go through what PCOS is, how I discovered I had it, and like I say, how I feel the weight loss has affected my symptoms, whether they've got better. Spoiler alert, they have. But yeah, so I'm going to whack my glasses on and I'm going to read from my iPad because, like I say, I'm not a healthcare professional and I can't say it better than I can get it on here. So, polycystic ovarian syndrome is a common hormonal disorder in women characterised by irregular periods, excess androgen levels and polycystic ovaries. So effectively, both my ovaries are covered in cysts, and this causes a hormonal imbalance. I do have quite a severe seems like a strong word, but I do have both of my ovaries are covered with the cysts. It's a leading cause of infertility and can also increase the risk of other health problems like type 2 diabetes and heart disease. And then it says there's a few other things to go through. So with the irregular periods, women with PCOS often have infrequent, irregular or no periods, and they may also have heavy or light periods. And the excess androgen, this means the body has too many male hormones, which can cause symptoms like excessive hair growth, acne and male pattern baldness. And the polycystic ovaries themselves, these ovaries appear enlarged on ultrasound and contain numerous small fluid-filled sacs that are not actual cysts. So that I've heard this before, so they're not actual cysts, but it's still called polycystic ovarian syndrome, but I don't know the science behind that fully. Okay, so common symptoms include irregular or missed periods, excess hair growth on the face, chest, back or buttocks, acne or oily skin, weight gain, difficulty getting pregnant or infertility, and male pattern baldness. And then the causes. The exact cause of PCOS is not fully understood, but it's thought to be related to hormonal imbalances, particularly with androgens and insulin resistance. Genetics may also play a role, as PCOS tends to run in families. I personally don't feel like it runs in my family, and if it did, whoever's had it in my family hasn't been diagnosed. I do have a family member that's younger than me now that has been diagnosed with it, but I don't know anybody older, so I'm not sure if it is genetics with my family or not. Okay, so treatment. PCOS cannot be cured, but the symptoms can be managed. Treatment options include lifestyle changes, so your diet and exercise, medication for hormonal birth control, which is hormonal birth control, diabetes medications like metformin, or medications to manage excess hair growth, and fertility treatments if desired. So that's kind of the overall thing of what PCOS is and what the symptoms can involve. So my story. So when I was 12 years old, I started my menstrual cycles, and for the first year they were as regular as clockwork every 28 days and everything was fine. I then went 18 months without a period, and I can remember my mum at the time saying, this isn't right, you know, you should have you should be having a regular menstrual cycle. So we sort of started the process. I'd got a new doctor at the time, and he was absolutely fantastic, and he straight away said that he thinks it may be PCOS, which obviously at the time I hadn't heard about polycystic ovarian syndrome. I didn't know what it was. So he put me forward for blood tests. I went for an ultrasound. At this point, I was 15 years old. And at the time, I can remember, even 27 years later, I can remember going into that ultrasound. And, you know, I'd seen it in movies and on TV where women were going in and, you know, the pregnant ladies were going in, having their ultrasound on, and it was such a lovely experience, and they were seeing the baby on the screen and everything. For me, it was horrendous. I was lay on the bed. There was 2 nurses in there, or 2 healthcare providers, and they sat with the monitor, faced away from me, talking between themselves, giving me instruction now and again, and it was just horrendous. It was absolutely horrendous, and I can still remember that, like I say, all these years later. I can still remember that feeling. So that happened, and then when I went back to the doctors, I was told that yes, I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, and this might mean that I may never have children, or if I want children, it may be hard for me to conceive. And yeah, he sort of went through a few of the lists of the symptoms and side effects that I could end up experiencing, and it was just scary. I was 15 years old. I was going through all these different hormone changes through puberty and things anyway, that then to be hit with this was quite well, I say earth-shattering, which seems really dramatic, but when you're 15, everything's dramatic, isn't it? So it was a shock to the system, and I've lived with it ever since. My whole adult life, I've suffered with my weight fluctuating up and down, mainly up, it seemed to go. I did, when I was at school, I wouldn't say I was bullied, but I had bullying comments. So people would say nasty things to me about my weight and things like that. And it's heartbreaking now when I look back. I wasn't that big. I've always had chubby cheeks, but I used to hide under big t-shirts, big shirts, big jogging bottoms, and I didn't want to show my body off. The other thing with that is I was really chesty at a very young age. I remember going to Marks and Spencer's when I was 13, and back then, it was a long time ago, and I can remember, so like late 90s, and I remember the lady measuring me for a bra and saying that I was a 38G, and that they didn't store that size in store apart from like these granny style bras. But if I didn't want one of those, they could order them. They could order a different bra for me. And I was just mortified. Again, going back to, I was 13 years old at that point, and it was just mortifying. So yeah, if you put a big t-shirt over a big pair of boobs, it just makes you look bigger than you are. And that is what I lived in. So yes, I used to get comments about my weight and things, and I took it all very, very personally. And I've struggled, like I say, with my weight ever since. And I've gone up to as high, I think my highest recorded weight was around 19 stone 5, although I do think I went bigger than that. I think that's the highest number I ever saw on the scales though. And the lowest I got down to pre-Mounjaro was 11 stone 8 when I did videos previously and I was following Slimming World. I got down to 11 stone 8 and then the weight piled back up again. I am now currently at 11 stone 3 and I can't believe it. I can't believe that I'm so close to getting into the 10 stone bracket. It's just amazing to me. But it's been an absolute dream to go on to Mounjaro and go on to a GLP-1. And I do think it's helped with so many of my PCOS symptoms. So the symptoms that I've had have definitely been excess hair growth, but mainly on my chin. And that didn't happen until I was in my 30s. A lot of people have excess skin on their back or their chest, but thankfully I never had that. I don't grow much hair on my legs either, and I know some people that have PCOS have really excess hair growth on the legs. So I do think as far as the excess hair growth goes, I've been really, really lucky that it's not hit until I was in my 30s. I then went and had a few courses of laser treatment, and that really helped with that. But I had started to get the odd one sprouting through. It's been about 18 months since I last had a laser treatment. And pre-Mounjaro, like I say, I'd noticed that a few had started to come through and I was having to pluck again. And I've not done it for months, guys. I definitely think the weight loss, whether it's the Mounjaro or it's the weight loss or a bit of both, but it's definitely helped with that, because now I don't need to pluck, I don't need to shave or anything like that. My excess hair has seemed to be under control, so that's fantastic. The other side effect I get is the weight gain, and then it's hard to lose weight. And I think that has been down to my insulin resistance with the PCOS, and the fact that with that, I found it hard to stop eating, to know when I was full and all that sort of thing, which obviously we know Mounjaro helps with that. It helps me stop a meal when I'm full. It helps me know to stop. It helps with the cravings, it helps with the food noise and all that sort of stuff, and has helped me lose the weight that I've lost so far, and it's 100% helped with my PCOS symptoms. I'd say the biggest, after the weight gain and finding it hard to lose weight, the biggest side effect I had with PCOS was my mood, and it would affect my mood. I was quite snappy, especially if it was coming up to time of the month. And I don't just mean normal sort of PMS stress and feeling a bit negative. It's like tenfold, and I'd go as far to say I could be horrible, and especially to the people that I love. I always remember my mum saying to me that, you know, you can be so mean and nasty when you're due to come on. She said it's you know, it's hard to communicate with me at those points. And for me, it was like an out-of-body experience. I'd be looking down on myself saying, why are you being so negative and horrible, and just stop it? But it was so hard to control. And I can honestly say, since I've started Mounjaro and since I have lost this weight, I've not felt like that. I had a conversation with my mum a couple of weeks ago and said, because she knows I'm on the medication, and obviously she knows I've lost weight, she can see that. And I brought it up with her and I said, how do you think my mood's been since I've been on the medication? And do you think when I'm due to come on my period and things, do you think I'm handling things better? And she said, absolutely. She said, you're just yourself again. She said, you're just Gem. You're not angry. You're just, yeah. She said, you're just a pleasure to be around, which is so lovely to hear, and makes me happy, because I don't want to be that negative person, and I do think it was a side effect of my condition, of my polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's definitely the worst symptom I have, because it doesn't just affect me, but it affects the people that I love and the people around me. So quite hard to talk about that one, guys, because I feel like I feel a bit vulnerable there, but it's the truth of it, and it's how I've felt, and I'm just so thrilled that I can control those feelings. Aside from that, the other issue that I had, which is again a massive issue, was that I didn't think I was going to ever be a mum. And if you follow me already, you'll know that I do have my little boy. He's 5.5. Well, no, he's nearly 6. He'll be 6 in June. And it was a struggle to have him. With his dad, we did start the fertility process, but we fortunately we didn't get as far as we only got as far as having some tests done. So I'd had the test done for myself to find out what my fertility was like. They checked on my PCOS and things like that, and then he had I just started doing tests, but then we found out we had become pregnant naturally. Yeah, so I'll be forever grateful for that. I was married previously and we had tried for years to get pregnant and it just didn't happen. So I was worried that in this new relationship that we weren't going to be able to have a baby, but it did happen and we have our little boy and he's amazing. Yeah, myself and his father aren't together anymore. I'm raising him as a single mum. But I'm so thrilled and so happy, and yeah, he's the apple of my eye. With the polycystic ovarian syndrome, it can make it harder to sort of manage your cravings, manage the food noise, all that sort of thing, because of the insulin resistance. And yeah, so I think hand in hand with the Mounjaro and the fact that that helps with the insulin resistance and the food noise and all that sort of thing, it's just, they've just worked hand in hand together. And to me, it's just been fantastic. And I am coming more to terms with the fact that this may be a lifetime medication for me. My plan is to come off it at some point. I'm not rushing to come off it once I get to target, which whatever my target number will be. I don't want to rush to come off the medications. I want to stay on it. I will titrate down to the lowest dose and stay on it for as long as I feel I need to, and then I will try and come off it and see how I go. But if I can't control my weight loss or anything like that, then it is something that I will consider, you know, taking for the rest of my life. It's just one of those things. And if it helps not only with my weight loss but with my PCOS symptoms as well, then it can only be a good thing, can't it? At the end of the day, along with the PCOS and being obese without PCOS, both of those things can cause things like type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease and things like that. So if I can limit that, then by taking a drug for the rest of my life, then I'm quite happy to do that. But on the flip side of that, I would love to think that I can come off it and be able to manage my new set weight, because I do believe we have a set weight, and at the moment I think it's higher than what it should be, and I want to set it to my ideal weight of maybe 10 stone, 9.5, 10 stone, I'm not sure yet, but once I get there I'll know. And I want that to be my new set weight, so I want to stay on the medication for as long as I think I need to have that new set weight, and then that should help me not end up having things like cardiovascular disease or type 2 diabetes, or I know there's certain cancers and things that can be caused by being obese or having obesity. So yeah, that's a little bit about my story on PCOS, how I discovered I have it and how my life's been with it, and how I think Mounjaro has helped me massively. Whether it is the Mounjaro or the weight loss or a combination of the two, I'm just thrilled that my symptoms are under control. I'm seeing the results. The other thing is my skin as well. My skin feels glowing at the moment, and it's so healthy. I did get adult acne in stages, and I haven't had that for a while. And yeah, I just feel healthier. I feel more energetic. I just feel full of life and happy, and yeah, and I think that's such a positive thing for me to take away from this journey, this experience, and the fact that it is helping me with this underlying health condition that I have. So what I wanted to say was, if you want to drop a comment below, if you have PCOS, if it's something that we can chat about and things, I'd love to hear your opinions on. If you're on a GLP-1 as well, how have you found it? Or if you're not on a GLP-1, but if you've on a different weight loss journey and you've discovered that it's helped with your PCOS symptoms, I would love to hear below how you're all getting on with things like that. And yeah, if you've liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you would like to subscribe, I would love that too, and come and join our little community here. And I will see you tomorrow for quite possibly a what I eat in a day, and then I'll be doing my week 24 update on Mounjaro on Thursday, and I'm excited for that because I class that as my 6 month, even though technically my 6 months not till week 26. I do it in 4 weekly slots, so this will be my 6th pen, if you like, update. So yeah, I will see you tomorrow, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.